Politics Friday. Hamish and Tracy, thanks for your time.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us.
Hamish, I'll start with you. The South Island Hikoi leader, Teresa Butler, told me earlier this week she didn't like the Treaty Principles Bill because it put everybody on a level playing field and that would colonise Māori history. What are your thoughts on that sentiment?
Oh, look, I think there's strong feelings on both sides of this debate. We have said we're going to support it to the first reading and no further. We think it's an oversimplification of probably what is a really complex history to New Zealand, and I think each case needs to be treated with a little bit more nuance than maybe something like the Treaty Principles Bill.
Tracy, the Hikoi mobilised New Zealanders like never before, but when one journalist was speaking to many of the attendees at the rally, they seemed surprised that the bill was not supported by National. Do you think the Māori Party made that omission on purpose in its marketing?
I don't know what the marketing was around the Hikoi. I know that when I went up on Tuesday morning, the plane was full of people from all different walks of life who were excitedly making their way there, probably for all different sorts of reasons and what the treaty means to them in their own way. I think that, look, National are in a really difficult position. They've chosen to support a coalition agreement over what I think is the right thing to do, and that would have been to not support this bill even to first reading.
Hamish, the Prime Minister said he only supported the bill to its first reading. What about you personally?
Look, I think that's probably a good place to do. We're really kind of focused on the underlying drivers of poor economic outcomes, poor health and education in our population, and particularly affecting Māori. When we've got 22% of Year 8 students at a level of maths that we expect, and only 12% in Māori, we do have a problem. And so these are the sort of things that we're really focused on, rather than some of these.
Do you support the Treaty Principles Bill yourself? Are you allowed to have a personal opinion, or do you have to toe the National Party line? What if people in your caucus didn't like or did like the bill?
Look, we've had many discussions about that, and we've come up to the stage where we think that it's an oversimplification, that this is a complex area, and we can't just probably have a text box referendum to actually settle 200 years worth of history.
Tracy, what would happen now? Well, what do you think should happen now as a result of the rally? I understand yesterday 1,000 more people are now on the Māori electric voting system. I mean, arguably that could be seen as democracy at play, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could be. And I think anything that brings people together and makes people think about the big issues and what we need to do in this beautiful country of ours, I think is a good thing. I think, the Treaty Principle Bill now will go to the Justice Select Committee, which I'm on. So we have opened for submissions, and people are most certainly already submitting to that process. I just hope that it will be a really mature, sensible debate, given the fact we've got no choice now. We've got to go through what is now quite potentially a divisive process of debating something that really isn't up for debate, because someone in the ACT Party has chosen to suddenly take an interest in the treaty and wanting to redefine the principles that have been well established over many decades and across many governments.
As somebody who sits on that committee, do you get to see in real time the submissions coming in? Can you get an indication as to what people are saying now?
No. The committee is very ably led by a secretariat and clerks who will take care of all of that, so that no one member of the committee can have any sort of prior knowledge of what's coming down the line. But we get regular updates, and we know that submissions are coming in thick and fast.
So what happens now then? So you debate this in public, right? For layman's terms, what actually does happen right now over the next few weeks, months? Tracy?
Well, once a bill goes to select committee, they all open for public submissions generally, unless they go through an urgent sort of process, which this one hasn't. And so the public will have until the 7th of January, midnight 7th of January, to make a submission. And then we will start hearing from people that want to make an oral submission over the weeks that follow that.
Hamish, how do we ensure that Parliament maintains a professional standard to prevent politicians from going off course?
Look, I think being an MP is a huge honour, but it's also a huge responsibility. And I think, especially on our side of the house, we take it very, very seriously. I think there needs to be strong standards, and you'll probably see from the National Party, from the males, of course, when we're in the house, it's always a suit and tie, because we believe in upholding quite a high standard for our MPs. And I think it's we've got to pass the stage where it's kind of pistols at dawn. I think our democracy is built on a situation where we can actually have an open debate, followed by reasoning, followed by a vote. And I think it's very important that we protect that procedure, because, of course, that has treated our democracy well over the years. So I think it is really important that we have standards, and I think that's what the majority of New Zealanders expect from members of Parliament.
Yeah, Tracy, I've got to say, I was looking at the new Green Party member giving his speech, and I sort of thought, this is not Mufti Day at Parliament. Tracy?
Oh, really? Oh, really? I didn't. I can't say I actually took in particular notice of
I just thought maybe I'm old school. I thought maybe I'm old school. I did think to myself, why are all these Green MPs looking like it's Mufti Day today? I mean, where is the sense of standard? Tracy, do you agree or disagree with that?
Well, I suppose it depends on what we term a sense of standard, and where that level is set. I must admit, I don't like hats in the house. I find it a little bit disconcerting when someone wears a hat. So I kind of draw the line at that. And as Hamish said, I'm quite fond of a tie. I think it looks smart, but I've got no problem with men not wearing ties. I have been guilty myself of wearing a pair of Skechers or the occasional gym shoe late at night at that 9-10 o'clock slot, when I think no one can possibly see me and my feet are sore. But apart from that, I think it is a workplace first and foremost, and it is a really important workplace where I think you should be reminded of the the strength of the power that you have, and the importance of that vote, and the importance of that contribution. And I don't think it hurts to dress smartly to remind yourself to do that.
I think so. Hamish, speaking of professional standards, what happened in Parliament the other day with Erica Stanford calling, was it Jan Tinetti, a stupid bitch? That's not very kind. That's not kind.
I didn't hear the comment. So
I don't think it was actually recorded, though, was it? No.
So that's up to Eric Stanford, and whatever happened. I wasn't aware of it happening at the time.
It's not nice, though, was it, Tracy?
No, I could certainly hear it from where I was sitting, but then I was kind of in direct, although far away, I was in direct line. And look, a sense of frustration, a minister under pressure, feeling that someone else had asked some unfortunate questions and kind of...
I think there was frustration that there's been repeated questions and repeated answers given, and the question...
The purpose of the House is to ask questions.
In the question was...
Hang on, one at a time. Tracy, go ahead.
Of course, that's the purpose of the House, isn't it? To ask those questions. That is, we are asking questions on behalf of people. We're the only ones that get to ask those questions. So we are asking those questions on behalf of people that need answers. So you need to be able to take that and not call names. But look, there goes any of us if we ever get to that level of frustration.
I bet you Erica Stanford is thanking her lucky stars it wasn't recorded. What a shame. Hamish, Christchurch Mayor Phil Major has proposed ditching the Cathedral levy. He said this to me yesterday on the program for ratepayers now that the project has been mothballed. What do you make of this? Arguably, it's only, it's not much for a ratepayer. I thought if you wanted to save money for the ratepayers, he could perhaps not build a big stadium. But anyway, Hamish, thoughts?
Look, first of all, I would have liked to have seen the cathedral rebuilt, but I appreciate the challenges around that. And I actually think this is probably a good proposal from the Mayor. That money can only be spent on the cathedral. And if the project is going to be mothballed, then it seems a little bit ridiculous asking people for money for it. I think, yes, it may only be a little bit, but as the saying goes, if you mind the sense, the dollars will follow. And I think it's very, very careful that we're prudent, that we don't treat ratepayers and taxpayers as ATM machines, that actually every dollar we take off a person, whether it be in rates or taxes, we've got to make sure we're spending it wisely. So I think this is a good suggestion from the Mayor.
Tracy, what do you think? Should we stop this cathedral levy now or keep it going?
No, I think if it's been mothballed, let's stop this levy now. As Hamish said, it was hypothecated around being able to pay for the cathedral, and if that's not going to happen, then I think it's important for ratepayers to know that their elected officials will, in the first instance, at the first opportunity, stop an unnecessary expense and not have something weird happening behind the scenes. So I think that's a sensible suggestion from Mayor Phil.
The Canterbury Museum funding. Gee, it's just everything seems to be blowing up, doesn't it? Who should pick up the tab, Hamish, following the news of this $40 million cost blowout yesterday? The Mayor was sort of a bit cagey about who would pick up this cost, suggesting it would come down to decisions made by us. When I asked him who was us, he said councillors and ratepayers. Over 800 people commented on Facebook saying, we don't want to contribute anything to this. What do you say, Hamish?
Yeah, and once again, it's very sad to see a project in that stage, and I think it's sad that the timelines are being blown out. But look, I have a lot of confidence in the museum team. I know they're busy trying to put together a fundraising plan to hopefully raise some more money. Look, the government has already put in millions of dollars into this project, and so I think we need a museum. I think that it's important that we tell the stories of our past. And so I look forward to seeing what they can come up with in the next wee while as a fundraising plan. I appreciate it is challenging to raise money. And so I wish them all the best.
Fundraising plan, it's going to be a lot of sausage sizzles outside Bunnings. Tracy, what do you say?
Yeah, and I think with this team, this museum team, one thing that impressed me was that as soon as things started to look like they were going to blow out a bit, they immediately got together. They did some value management. They looked at what could be changed. So there's clearly some real good expertise and skills on that museum team. So I think that's something we should, feel quite thankful for. And I think, ultimately, as Hamish said, we do need a museum. It's important. So it may be a combination of the council and perhaps government again, and also the museum team scaling things back a wee bit. And I think I'm pretty confident we'll get to a good outcome.
All right, just finally, it seems like it's quite a busy weekend of events across Canterbury. Tracy, what are your plans?
Well, I've got all sorts of plans. I am in Littleton on Saturday morning. I've got a clinic there, and there's some interesting things happening in Woolston as well, so I'll be there. I'm meeting up with a constituent on Sunday, and actually we're going to go for a bit of a walk around the river rather than sit in an office and do that. So
now that's a nice idea.
It is, yeah. Sometimes it's nice to have active meetings. So, but actually, I haven't looked any further ahead than Sunday morning. So
good. And well, Sunday's supposed to be a nicer day, by the way. Just letting you know, that's my weather update for you. Hamish, what about you? Busy weekend?
Yeah, busy weekend. This afternoon, there's an athletics competition on the grounds of Christchurch Boys High School. It's a jumping competition with high jump and long jump. So really looking forward to that. We've got Celebrate Bishopdale tomorrow in Bishopdale Park. So I'll be there in the community, which is always great. But then, of course, there's a Santa Parade on Sunday. So busy weekend, and hopefully have some time with the family. And I'm sure I'll take the kids along to some of those events so we can have some quality time as well.
Got a nice to speak to you both, Hamish and Tracy. Have a great weekend.
You too, Chris. Enjoy. Yeah, Hamish.